A lot of it was me coming to terms pretty young with the idea that, you know, I have to kind of be the responsible one, right? So like now that I'm married, I have my own children, I see the world through the lens of what my dad might have gone through emotionally.
What was your perception of your dad like after the divorce?
I don't think it was too good, to be really honest.
I tried to ask myself, like, was I seeing things differently because I was a child?
Did you say? Bro, and I've never had that feeling of feeling so paranoid and insecure.
The whole like relationship with yourself, I don't understand that.
Right. It's like really being vulnerable with yourself, bro.
Your relationship sounds like it's kind of built around you being the problem solver.
Yes.
Oh yeah, moving to Dubai triggered that same anxiety that I had when I was moving schools. Why do you take that as your responsibility?
But genuinely, bro, like I have such a soft spot in my heart for those people to the point that I could cry.
Now I feel nervous, you know.
I'm degrading you. Like, okay, outfits on 10 right now. Bro, so I'll give you that.
All right, guys, welcome back to Inner see, I got me stumbling.
Inner podcast. Do you want me to do the intro for you?
Do it.
Guys, welcome back to the Inner Child podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We have the one and only... Nah, I'm gonna gas myself
that was
up.
good, you know, that was good. This is episode 7. Let me just, before we forget that, episode 7, we have the one and only Omar Choudhry. Bro, for the people that don't know you, I'm sure there's not that many of that, but people that don't know, introduce yourself, man. Who are you and what do you do?
Of course, man. Apart from being Cairo's friend, nah, man. This is
my old boss.
First of all, this is a real pleasure, man. I'm proud of you as well, bro.
No, I appreciate
doing
it,
this. I had to make sure that we did this. You know, I said to you from the jump before we came out here that I wanted to make sure we did this. I'll introduce myself in a minute, but because you know. I have a lot of love and respect for you, and like, you know, the way you work and the way you grind and you know, just get on with things. And you don't give yourself enough credit for that, so people have to give you the credit. So,
Bro,
you know, so you gotta take that.
man.
But also the level that you're doing there, like, you know, such a beautiful setup. You're not just like putting anything together and all that type of stuff, bro. The way you're doing it, I think it's lovely, man. So props to you, bro. So thank you for having me, man.
No, thank you, man.
But yeah, so me, man, I'm run Feed Source. You know, Feed Source is a rapid creative content company, tech company. So think of it like a McDonald's drive-through for photography, you know, so anything that a brand needs, but they can get it kind of within like 24 to 48 hours. And so feedsource.com, that's the site. That's like kind of my primary focus. And yeah, man, everything around media, marketing, tech has been like my love for a long time. And that's what, you know, kind of got us, you know, talking and working together.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, we're bringing a lot out here to the Middle East as well, man.
But you know what's crazy? It's like, bro, I've known you for a while now, and I've wanted to have you on the podcast for ages. But I never wanted to ask until the setup was right. And you know something that Faisal said to me? He didn't say it to me, but he said it on his podcast. He was like, I have so many ideas, but I never stick through with them. And which is true, because I have so many ideas, but I have this thing where like you want rapid results, you know what I mean? Like I'm that kind of guy that just like, I want to hit the ceiling, and if the ceiling's not being touched, I need to find another ceiling. But now that it's working out, and you know, like as soon as you was coming over, you said, bro, like we need to do the podcast. But inside I was like, oh yeah, finally, this might be it. Now I gotta stick with it.
No, bro. 100%.
But I appreciate you coming on, man. Honestly, like, bro, you've done so much for me anyway as it is. But being here, bro, it's a pleasure. Of course, bro. In terms of Feed Source, you're expanding it, obviously, like you said, to the Middle East. What I want to do is dive into... Actually, before we get to Feed Source, I want to dive into your childhood a bit. Let's just get straight in. Tell me how your upbringing and your childhood was like.
Upbringing, man. Well, I grew up... There's 4 of us siblings, and 5 of us now, because my parents got divorced when I was quite young. And so my dad remarried and got another sister now. So there's 5 of us siblings now. But man, growing up, all in all, bro, was wonderful, man. You know, we're very blessed, you know, to grow up in London, you know, a place that, you know, already is filled with opportunity, you know, great education, you know, a great support system for especially my mum in an environment where, you know, being divorced and a single parent, she had a lot of kind of, government support, a lot of help that also, in turn helped us as well growing up, which now that I'm older, I can appreciate a bit more. But when you're younger, that's just your environment, you know? Yeah. So we first 10 years of my life was both mom and dad. And then kind of beyond that was mainly mum. And then, of course, we spent time with dad as well. But really a lot of it was me coming to terms pretty young with the idea that, I have to kind of be the responsible one, or like the one to take care of everyone. And it was nothing that was kind of put upon me, or like demanded from me. My parents have never, been that way towards me. Like, you have to be this or you have to do that. But I think naturally I really enjoy, taking care of people. I enjoy, providing. I enjoy being a safety net. And when we were going through so many challenges young, especially in a house when there's so many emotions to try and battle with, I've got older sister, younger brother, younger sister who was newborn at the time, my mum, her going through her own challenges. I think naturally I took a stance where I was like, okay, let me try and understand this as much as possible. And it forced me, I think, from very early, man, just to like switch on this kind of maturity switch. And I think that's followed me throughout, man. Like even now, like, many of the things that I was doing maybe when I was 18, 20, even now when I'm 30, I probably, act maybe like 5 or 10 years ahead of my age right now. And I think that came from like those early years.
When you're, at what age did you feel like you had to take that stance of, being the leader between your siblings, I'm guessing, is the word, I guess. How old was you when you took that leadership?
Bro, when we were little, it's a very complex. I know you understand. I don't know how much you shared before about your situation, but I'm sure you'd resonate with some of this too. But, especially with a dynamic where, your parents are separated, when that's all you don't know any different, right? So like now that I'm married, I have my own children, I see the world through the lens of what my dad might have gone through emotionally, what my mum might have gone through emotionally, and I can really understand the challenges for both of them now that I've got kids and I'm grown myself as well, and I'm married. But at the time, the responsibility thing was like, okay, well, here we are in this environment. All I know is that dad kind of provides, dad looks after, financially and whatever else. Mum is obviously there, like kind of in a home with us most of the time. So that's as simple as my brain would work. And so when that element of my dad was slightly removed, it felt like I needed to fill that in some way, or I had to be the person to step into those shoes. But I overstepped my mark as well, and I think that's where me and my dad were able to kind of, build that kind of father-son respect and relationship in that period of time. Because, bro, when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I was like, contacting my dad, like, okay, this is what, this is how I need you to help us. And I was trying to set the guidelines. And he's like, bro, like one time my dad sat next to me in the house and just gave me absolute, just like telling off. Yeah, I was like 11. Really? Don't ever speak to me like that.
Is it always?
Yeah. He goes, I'm your dad. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, do you understand? You guys are always going to be cool, but I understand kind of, how you're feeling, but there's a way to communicate with me. You know what I mean? And that was important because you need that in terms of father figure to be like, yo, hold on a second. I know you're over like trying to reach out right now and take control in some ways because like I was seeing so much in my environment, but I'm not an outsider. I'm still a father, and I think that was very important. So that boundary, helped me kind of, keep myself in a certain realm. And also I think allow me to respect how far I can go with certain responsibilities, because with that also comes a level of control. When you want to take care of things and be responsible, you seek a level of control to be able to keep those things in a certain way. But in order to have a healthy amount of that, you need to understand boundaries. And I think my dad, through those moments helped me understand that.
What was your perception of your dad like after the divorce?
Oh, I don't think it was too good, to be really honest. I think there was a period of time that like, I kind of define it as kind of 5-year period, maybe even like 10 to 15 or something around that time when, by the way, my dad has done nothing but just love us dearly. Like he would just things that we wanted to just get for us. You know what I mean? Really? And like, I mean, you get for both Faisal and I. If I wanted something like a scooter, You know, I remember once his electric scooters were like a hot thing, and I wanted one, and then like, you know, Faisal also wanted one, and so like he got us both one. You know what I mean? And so like things like that, bro. When we were young, and like it wasn't just about those material things, obviously, but it was the fact that he wouldn't care. Like, it was just like, look, like I want to look after you guys. You know, I want you to be happy, and he would, and I really can appreciate that. Like I said, now at the time, I don't think my brain was formed enough for me to see it from that perspective at all. So in my mind, it was almost like, well, we're living with my mum, and like, you know, this has happened, you know, and obviously we don't know the ins and outs of the truth.
Yeah.
Because we're young, first of all, so we're going to get a certain amount of information. We're naturally going to have a bias towards our mother because we're living with her, right? And then we're only seeing our dad on certain periods when we're allowed to see him. And there's a lot of that in between as well. So in that whole phase, bro, like, I think just by lack of kind of communication and lack of access, you start to be like, you know, framing yourself, like framing kind of what he looks like to me in my own head. And I think at times I gave him much more of a negative outlook than what I should have, you know, in retrospect.
Bro, you know, it's crazy because like, I was thinking about this not too long ago as well. It's like about my dad as well. It's like the same thing. So when my parents got divorced, there was like a negative like image of my dad, I guess. But also my dad didn't put as much effort in as your dad did. My dad, once he left, he was gone. You know what I mean? And the only time I would see him is when the family were trying to make it work again and trying to convince my mum and my dad to make it work again and stuff. And that's the only time I would see him. And then sometimes he'll come and take us out. And all I remember is he'll take us out, we'll eat and drop us off. Like there was no conversation. There was nothing, like there was just nothing there. And I think as I grew up, I just accepted the fact that like, you know, my dad's just not around and he's not going to be around. And then now that I'm a bit older, I try to ask myself, like, was I seeing things differently because I was a child? Like, what is an adult going to speak to about a child? You know what I mean? But then when I see my dad now, it's exactly the same, which is crazy. Like, it's like literally, if I see him, there's no conversation. And it's not that I'll try and have a conversation, but I feel like my dad just he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to talk about.
But by the way, my dad's very similar.
Really?
And so I resonate with that. And it's an interesting thinking I've been thinking recently because, yeah, in an environment, bro, same. We go out and my dad wouldn't talk much, still doesn't talk that much, you know, depending on certain topics, you know, then he would just speak, you know, if it's like politics or something that he's really into, whatever. And actually on the outset, it can give off a very cold effect, you know, generally to people, by the way, you know, because he's Pakistani, a bit more traditional in a lot of ways. And then you think about, you know, how we would receive that as kids and, you know, you can't really make sense of that. You're just like, yeah, there's a bit of distance there. But honestly, bro, now that I can be a bit older and look at things, I'm like, well, hold on a second. He grew up there's like 12 siblings. They grew up literally in like a farm in Pakistan. He came here very young by himself, you know, to figure things out. You know, he's certainly a hustler, you know, and will get things done. And like, you know, that's probably a lot of traits that I embedded from him. However, if you look at it from an emotional or psychological point of view, I have no idea what he might have gone through as a young boy. Think about that. I have no idea. Because like the point at which I've met him, he was like maybe 28. That's when I was born, but I think he was about 28. I'm 31 now. So it's like 4 years ago, whatever. You know what I mean? 3 years ago. I can't remember, that's terrible. 3 years ago. But like, think about that. Like, he's met me at that point, but he's had such a long life before that I'm not privy to. I don't know what he's gone through. I don't know if he's ever been able to speak to someone. Probably not, because of like, you know, how traditionally men just wouldn't talk about certain things. Traumas, you know, and now I'm older, I actually see that some of his, you know, habits out on the outside, like your dad might be like he's quiet, whatever. Actually, maybe insecurities, social anxieties. You know, when I see my dad now, I'm like, maybe he has social anxieties. And so that might make him say something that comes across a type of way to someone who doesn't know him. Yeah. But when you can actually see it from like a childlike lens, you're like, they're just emotions that haven't been developed. Right? That just aren't there. Like, and when you get to a grown point of view, think about, bro, you very quickly become an adult. And then when you become an adult also, it's kind of embarrassing to fix some of those things, right? But then you've never had those develop in the first place. So when I see him now, I'm like, I understand that there's a lot of emotional development, psychological development and stuff that like bless him, man, he might not have been given. And it might have been nurtured in him. And he's had to figure a lot of that by himself. Plus he went through, you know, marrying someone who's from a completely different country, culture, language barriers. You know, he probably didn't know how to love in that way that, like, you know, maybe my mum needed. It could have been sometimes simple things like communication, as we're speaking right now. And then those are things that us as a generation have been able to figure out a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, but they just hadn't been privy to that. So I don't think it's all their fault. I think some of it's more circumstantial and environmental. But I think some of that now, bro, when they're quiet and whatever, I think that's probably part of it.
I agree. I think, you know what, it's not, I don't think it is their fault then. But I think over the years, if you're not doing nothing about it, I think there's some accountability there. Because like, even for myself, like when I was, 12 to like 21, I didn't know the ins and out of things. I was just seeing it from a lens of a child, like what my imagination was telling me everything is. And once you start learning about things, it's like it's been so many years, for example, like since they've been divorced, for example, my mom and dad.
How old were you?
I was about 13. But it was such a, like, when it happened, my mum, at this time, like, my mum's not going to say we're divorced, do you know what I mean? I just remember, like, dad just wasn't home. And my mum wouldn't say anything. It's like, we don't know what to think. It's like, dad's just not home, do you know what I mean? And I think eventually, when things got really bad and my grandparents had to get involved and, like mediate everything, I think that's when we was realizing what's actually happening. But I still remember, like I would, there was like times where like my mum would drop me off, and if like my friends would ask like, oh, like how did you come? I'd be like, oh, my dad dropped me. You know what I mean? Like I always used to do that because there was in school, like a lot of my friends didn't have their dads around, and I think one of them had the dads around. So I wanted to be like, I just didn't want to be that guy that didn't have his dad around. And I wanted to make it seem like my dad taught me this and my dad did this for me. And, you know, like I wanted that for me. So like I would just make up all these lies. You know what I mean? But looking back at it now, I'm just like, I'm just so embarrassed about it. You know, like I'm embarrassed that I did that. I should have just accepted. But I was young. Do you know what I mean? There's not much we can do. But I want to ask, like it friendship wise. Yeah. So a lot of stuff with your business right now, you still do business with your friends, right? What was your friendship circle like when all of this was happening? Like when your parents got divorced and stuff? Because you said some of the people you do business with now or work with you now, you've known since what, school?
Probably like college or sixth form.
Okay.
So like when I was I went to primary school. At the primary school I went to, maybe a couple of people from there I still speak to, very rarely though. High school, not really anyone. But also in our high school, majority white high school as well. And so like there weren't a lot of like Asian people. And so I think like by the time I got to sixth form, that's one of the reasons I went to sixth form, especially in like, I went in Harrow because I just want to throw myself into like a area where there are like just Asians and people of my culture, so I could just like make friends in that environment because I hadn't had that. I wanted to build that culture shock because I'd have that obviously in my, you know, around our, you know, family friends and stuff. But like in terms of school, there wasn't that much of that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons as well. So those friends, like are really where it kickstarted in terms of relationships I have today. But they were really there for me at a time, which was a little bit past obviously the divorce and stuff, but when my mum was really unwell. And so they were a huge support system for me then. But on the point we were just making about our parents as well, I think one of the ways that I dealt with it too was, you know, just very early being like, yeah, I don't need anyone. Really? You know, and it wasn't in an arrogant way. It was just like this feeling inside of being like, yeah, I'm cool. You know, like, because there were some things that I would see, some things that, of course, you know, again, like going through a divorce and, you know, whatever emotions are going on, I can't imagine that being easy. You know, so I want to give tons of benefit of that to my parents because it's not easy.
Yeah.
But again, as a child, bro, you're processing some of that stuff and like, man, like, who do I lean on? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I can't get much. Like, I remember once, like, you know, I didn't have no one to teach me how to shave. This was very like a prominent thing for me, you know. And I went to my dad had his own flat at this point, and I'd gone there, and I went into the bathroom, and I'd seen one of his razors, and at this point, bro, like, I was starting to get a bit of a tash. And in school, bro, just about around year 8, like, my friends started to like shave and have stubble and stuff, and like, you know, it was a thing, like, you know, they'd be proud of it, like, boy, like these 14, 13 boys, whatever, and like it would be evident that I hadn't started shaving, obviously.
Yeah.
And I would feel really insecure, man. I was like, yeah, I'm not like, when am I gonna shave?
Yeah.
You know,
but I had the same thing,
bro. And then I went to my dad's spot, man, and I remember going to the bathroom and I saw a shaver. I looked in the mirror and I was, for time, bro, I was dying to shave and I just didn't know how to talk to my dad about it. I didn't know how to speak to my mom about it. And I just got his razor and I shaved and I must just come out of the bathroom, just bopped out like nothing, bro. And he just looked at me and goes, did you shave? Bro, and I've never had that feeling of feeling so paranoid and insecure. And I was like, no. But also his reaction made me feel even worse.
Really?
You know, because I was like, if you could see it from a child's point of view, like, I feel so shy to ask you, you know, I don't know how to do this thing and I just want help, you know, and I haven't had help in anything like that I'd wanted in my development, maybe because I haven't been there, right? And so now it's like even this, and I felt a little bit pushed back. I remember that was a very big point for me that straight after that, bro, I was like, cool, I'm gonna figure everything out on my own. And it really felt like that, bro, because my mum also was going through a lot. Yeah. And I think from that moment, bro, it was like, you know, just headstrong.
So even on that point, so what made, because Faisal always talks about how you taught him how to shave.
Yeah.
What was was there a thought process between that, or was that just kind of just like, let me just show you how to shave because I know you're going to go through it?
Yeah, I think a lot of that now, even to now, bro, with my, bro, you know, a thing with like, let's say take guys as an example, like who are the type of like guys that are important to my life? Like my friends who are my boys, employees and colleagues, my brother and my sons, you know, in terms of like who I'm more responsible, obviously my father, but I'm not responsible for him in that way right now. And so, but genuinely, bro, like I have such a soft spot in my heart for those people to the point that I could cry. Yeah. You know, if they go through any level of pain, they have to go through anything that's struggling for them. It's like, I just want to solve it. And I want to do that because I feel like I can. And I also want to do that because I feel like I know what they're probably feeling. You know, like when you're trying to find, let's say your first client, you know, or someone's like mugging you off because they're trying to give you a bad deal. Bro, I've been through all of that and I felt the worst emotions because people have like absolutely like pushed me to the edge. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I've never want that to be done for no one else. And now my sons as well, bro, like even with my oldest son, you know, he's only 4, but like my way of parenting him is a very specific way that's specific to me and my emotional like way of understanding him. And same way with Faisal, like, you know, with the shaving thing, whatever, which is like, I don't want you to feel the emotions that I might have felt. Yeah. You know, which is, and I want to get ahead of that. Right. So, right now you might be thinking about that. Let me get ahead of it. Let me make sure you don't even have to feel that. And so that even comes down to like the desire to want to be hospitable, right? Like if someone comes to your house, you know, someone's around you at the office, like I want to make sure I've thought about everything. Yeah. Like, you know, I hate that. Even things like to this day, bro, I hate that thing of like when you're at like restaurants or whatever and people like the whole bill thing, for example. You know, I know people generally do, but there's a sincere way that people like just want to be like sincere, and I think most people are. But there's also like a weird thing that people do that socially.
What do you mean?
Like when people don't want to like this kind of back and forth, like you know when like people just fighting over their bill or whatever. There's a very sincere way of being like, bro, I got you, like chill. Yeah. I mean, there's another way though where people are like genuinely maybe might not be able to afford it, you know, or like they're shy or like they want to chip in or whatever, and like. I think in those environments, you have to read the room. And I like to be in those environments to be like, look, I don't want that person to feel that right now they maybe can't afford to be at this spot right now. Or like, you know, they only want to pay for what they bought or whatever. And in that environment, you want to over-compromise and you want to get ahead of the emotion. Be like, I know what it feels like to feel that. Because there was times when, bro, like I had a $5, bro, and like my shoes were ripped, bro. And I was still trying to put in work when I was like 19. You know what I mean? And like, if someone just saw that and got ahead of it and said, bro, like you're probably feeling a bit like shit right now, you know what I mean? Like, let me like take care of that. What do you need? You know, I like to think of things like that. So even if we go out to eat or whatever, like even with my boys, like if I know what's going on and I know everyone's environment situation, again, similar to like the shaving situation, which is you're probably feeling this way, how can I get ahead of that? So I don't want you to feel that feeling of like, needing to do that because I'm here. Like I want to take care of that. You know, I think generally I feel that way towards like all the important, especially guys, but with females, I think it's natural. Like, you know, that's a man thing. But I think with boys, like I really feel that with like the people that I love, man, which is I don't want you to, even as a man, to feel those type of feelings that might make you feel little in some way. Like how can I get ahead of that and try and embrace you?
I think that's an interesting point because like a lot of us men and boys, like we don't know what to do. I don't think we've ever been taught what to do either. Like a lot of women have been talking about their feelings from young and like the mothers have been telling their daughters, you know, speak to us and it's an open space. Whereas the rest, like all of us boys and men, we just never taught how to talk about what we feel. So we go years and years, even decades without even speaking about it. Like I can only imagine like my granddad, for example. Like, I can only imagine for him to come from Bangladesh to move to the UK, work, feed like 6-7 kids, get them all married, like all in, and these are back in the days in like probably like the 60s, 70s, 80s. Like, I can only imagine what he's going through. Who does he speak to? And because he didn't know, he's not going to teach his kids how to speak because they don't know. Now they don't know, they're not going to teach their kids. And it's like a cycle. So like, how do, like, and I feel like you've kind of figured out though, is because I feel like even when I was at Feed Source, it felt like such a safe place. Like, bro, you can kind of just speak about your problems and someone, like whether it's you, whether it's Kareem, whether it's Faisal, someone will kind of give you some sort of direction to start looking in, and then you'll find your way. So like, do you feel like you've broken the cycle where you're able to talk about how you feel and also making it comfortable for people around you to talk about how they feel?
That's a good question, bro. I think one of the most important things that we maybe don't do enough, maybe all of us in general, is have a very strong relationship with ourselves, right? And to me, that's a fundamental thing that I think, I really try to work on personally. And the people that I feel have it really unlocked, it really shows in their character and their self-development.
But bro, I don't, the whole like relationship with yourself, I don't understand that.
Right.
Like I hear a lot of people say
like the other day, like looking at yourself objectively as if you're outside your own body.
Okay.
It's kind of like maybe a visual thing.
So give me an example. Like, how would you start building a relationship with yourself?
Okay. So
is it things like exercising and reading, or is it something more?
Nah. It really is like, it's like really being vulnerable with yourself, bro. And that's, I think that's one of the hardest things as a habit to figure out, but a very, very important thing. And I can see it very easily now in others when they might not have that done. Because if you could be vulnerable with yourself, that means being brutally honest with yourself, even if you've got incredibly ugly traits. Okay. Right? And it goes from like incredibly ugly to like spectacular traits. And you have to be aware of all of them. So you're confident about the things that you're spectacular in. There's traits of mine, maybe creatively, maybe in terms of vision, maybe in terms of like, the certain standards I uphold myself to that I'm very proud of internally. Right? I'm not like going around being like, I'm this, that, the other. But internally, I know that these are traits that objectively, like if you were to get 100 people in a room with common sense thinking, and you'd say, there's this characteristic here, do you think it's good or bad? Yeah. And if like 100 of them would say that's a good trait, that's how I think of these things, which is like, I know myself that common sense will tell you that some of these things objectively are strong characteristics to have. And I give myself that credit internally to be like, yo, you're cool for that. Equally though, I'm very, very aware of things that I'm not very good at, right? Or not developed in. So meaning, for example, if you're someone that's like not, let's say, I don't know, impatient as an example, yeah? You have to really check in with yourself. When you get to know yourself, when you do something that's an impatient thing to do, you have to feel the effects of it. And not just feel the effects and ignore it, keep it moving like it's cool. No, like you got to stop at some point and be like, bro, what did I just do there?
Yeah.
I got to be better. And that's getting to know yourself, is recognizing that there's things that you can be better at, and then pausing and then figuring out, okay, how do I be better at that? And that's the bit then where you have people around you talk to, you ask people feedback, like, hey, how did that make you feel? For me, a huge part of that is my wife, by the way. I think that's why getting married young, I think it's such a blessing, because you build that rapport with someone who I'm that mirror for my wife, and my wife's that mirror for me.
Okay.
And then you have principles within that relationship of like, this is a big thing, by the way, recently. And when I mean recently, I'd say within the last 9 months, or within this year, that I've really put in place in all of my important relationships, which is if there's any point of contention or conflict, we need to try and deal with it within like 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
Or at least have a conversation. And by the way, especially in business too, because I do business with my friends and people like that. And so business can be emotional sometimes, business can be intense. And there's moments before, bro, where things have got to that point, bro, and I've just kept it moving like my way is the only way. But there's other people that are feeling things. And I think if you have a principle to say, all right, you know what, I recognize you're feeling type of way, I might have had a characteristic that didn't rub off right on you. Let's talk about it. But you then got to sit there, bro, and you got to take the bullets. You know, and that's being comfortable with yourself and vulnerable, but you can allow someone to really come at you and say, yo, you made me feel this way, that way, that way. And then you can look at it from a point of view of not being defensive, but saying, I can see that. And then being very quick and sincere to apologize if you recognize that you could have done better. And then you work on that trait. And I think that's that constant work of like getting to know yourself.
That kind of takes me into the next question that I actually have. The question is, did you have any trauma from your childhood that you had overcome? And how did that influence your mindset as an entrepreneur? So like everything that you're saying now with the relationship with yourself, like was there any childhood trauma that you've had that you had to overcome that then you used it as a positive thing in business, as an entrepreneur, as a person even? Yeah,
I think I was just speaking to my wife about this the other day. I have a really crazy, like, what's the thing? It's not coordination. It's like, you know, a sense of my bearings, like physically, no matter where I am, right? And that transcends even like on a systematic level in terms of like, you know, on a company level. And I explain that. So when I was young, we were in, you know, obviously, you know, we say a lot of my grandparents. Obviously, my parents went through divorce, which means that at that time we were like sometimes at my grandparents' house, sometimes at our house. We moved house. We were like, you know, there was a point at which when there was a big kind of dispute in a divorce, and we had to actually live in like kind of this like family hostel place as well. So we didn't have a home for a bit. And so when I was going through these things very young, all I remember thinking was, I need to know where I'm at all times. And I need to know where certain things are, and I've got to figure it out in my head. And so I would always look out the window in the car and start working out routes to places, right?
Really?
Very young. So like, I want to say maybe like by the age of 6, I knew how to get to my dad's shop, my nan's house, places that would be genuinely quite far.
Yeah.
But like you could drop me there, I could walk there. You know, so I build these maps in my head. I know all of my bearings, and that's why in London right now, like, I can just drive around in certain roads and stuff. Like I just memorize them, and I think my memory got developed pretty good that way. But then now that I'm older, for example, even just coming to Dubai, bro, like, you know, very quickly, like even if we're in a mall, bro, like, and there's kids are having tantrums, all this type of stuff, I literally can position in my head where we've parked the car, what entrance we've come in, everything. So we can do 2 hours of shopping, and I'll just find my way back around. And like, to a point, my wife now doesn't even think that, and like she'll just get in a car and she'll be like, hold on a second.
How do we get here?
How do we get ourselves back in the car? Because so seamlessly, we're just rolling around, I'm just directing back to where we need to go. And so that sense of bearings, it was like came from a traumatic place that now, even on a business level, like allows me to basically have lots of complex structures running at once in my head, right? So loads of different maps. You know, so a map of like our marketing, a map of our sales, a map of like our organizational structure, a map of people's emotions. And that's why I'm so intertwined with so many people's individual players at once, but literally at the same time. So like it won't, if like, and this is the thing, by the way, that throws people off, because like even with you, for example, like we've had a relationship at a point that we're working together. Every single conversation we've had, like we've had that conversation one time by the post office, that we parked up on the side, you know, there's a post office there. We're waiting for a delivery thing to come to us. Do you remember? And we just like, it was near Slough, and we just stopped in the car.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I remember that entire conversation.
Well, that's a while ago.
But I'm saying that entire conversation because in my mind, that's mapped in your character profile. You know,
okay.
And like, I know that. And then I know everything associated to that, about your past, about everything, the conversation we had the other day. And I build a profile of who you are and also what you mean to me and what I can mean to you. And then I have that with all my people around me. And that's all part of that, I think, coming from that trauma of like getting those bearings. And I have that bearings of relationships and everything now.
So how are you like with relationships though? So like what's your, like, so you're saying, so like what you're saying is like you have like profiles, right, of everyone, and you can collect information from your brain and pull things from there that needs to be pulled. But how do you have like this vision of, because if you're building relationships, right, do you think about where that relationship is going to go, or do you just build it just for now, and if it works out, it works out, if it doesn't, it doesn't? Or do you have like a plan in mind, like, okay, like this relationship can be this, which is going to help the business, or this relationship is just going to be friendship, so this is a whole different type of friendship a relationship we're going to have? Like, do you have those kind of maps out?
I think the business thing, I always struggle to like, you know, mentally explain things between like business and personal, because naturally we all have these just setups in our head of like personal is this and business is this.
Yeah.
And business tends to mean work, right? And personal tends to mean relaxed or like genuine or like love. And business tends to mean direct and, you know, what's it called? Dog eat dog, whatever.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it doesn't work like that. I genuinely think you can have very healthy relationships that intertwine both. And what I mean by that is for me, the best relationships I have are where there's an alignment of interests, right? Sometimes those interests align on a commercial level where like, okay, I understand your vision. I understand what you want to achieve for yourself. Cool. I also have something I want to achieve. You understand that? All right, maybe there's something here that we can all both help each other grow because you have asset that you can provide to me and I have an asset I can provide to you. But it's in a very loving way. It's like win-win, right? And so that's one level of like aligning those incentives. And then there's a commercial aspect to it. Another way on the deeper relationships I have, let's say with some of my boys, like Samir's a good example. You know, Rishi's a good example, right? Who like I went to school with them, but we work very closely on a commercial level as well. So there's a business aspect where roles are very clearly defined. Our responsibilities are defined based on what they're trying to achieve in their own life and professionally. So where Samir wants to head, it doesn't matter if it's got something to do with feed source or not. What does he really want? And when he communicates that to me, and we talk about it all the time, I know where he's trying to get to in the next 10 years. I already know. I already am doing everything I can to help him achieve that. Now, there's parts along the way that I can help him do with feed source. There's things along the way that I can do with other parts of my relationship. But also, there's another part of it, which is his personal ambitions, right? And then, let's say, as a parent, his personal ambitions in terms of how he wants to live his life, you know, things for his wife and his family.
But why do you take that as your responsibility to make it happen?
I don't see it like a responsibility. I see it like that's a very good question, actually, to be honest. Let me actually think about that.
Because that must come from somewhere.
Bro, I think there have been people, man, that I've interacted with who I've given so much of me to, you know what I mean? And out of trust and out of love, because they've come across the type of way and made me feel like I can. And they've absolutely destroyed me emotionally, you know what I mean?
Really?
By taking the mick out of that, you know what I mean? And I believe that I'm sincere, I'm genuine, I'm not here to hurt no one, you know, I really mean what I say, you know, and if I love someone or love something, I truly do. There's no agendas, you know what I mean? But the tough thing is like, on a strategic level in business, you have to have some level of agenda in terms of where you're trying to head and what you're trying to do. But you can't let that get confused with the relationships you have. The relationships have to be very, very personable. And I think by understanding people on a deep level, I look at things from a point of view of, okay, what skill sets do I have that I could actually very easily take away certain stresses from you? Because I genuinely care. And there's some things that to other people will be challenging, that to me, I personally find easy. And because I find those things easy, I want to be able to offer them because they're nothing to me. It's like having, you know, free resources of something. You know, it doesn't take any mind share off me. Like, I find it natural to do those things. And so why would I not offer that? Because that's helpful to that person. But there's some things, by the way, like I'm terrible at DIY. I'm terrible at, if someone calls me right now and says like, yo, like, sounds terrible, but like, you know, this thing happened, like obviously if it's crisis, I'm there. But like generally, like, I don't know, flipping, my door handle broke, I don't know how to get in my house. I'm not the guy. You know what I mean? I'll call a guy, but I don't know what to do. You know, I'll turn up, but I'm not going to be effective. And my friends will know that. But I have friends that are like that. They're like, no matter what it is, bro, I'll pick up the phone, bro, they're just there, like non-stop there.
That makes sense, you know what I mean? Remember when I was building your studio for your podcast?
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, like, why are you not lifting anything up? I'm like, why?
I'm terrible.
Like, why is it just us?
Yeah, because I'm not that guy. And then, but then there's things, but then by the way, I reciprocate in ways which are like, you know, somewhat like, I know someone might come to me and say, they'll be stressed about something. And I'll see on their face, I'm like, bro, why are you stressed? They're like, oh, bruv, you know what? I've got to make another like $2,000 this month because I'm going to be short because I've not got this contract come through or whatever. Bro, I'm like, yo, relax, bro. Like, it's fine. You know what I mean? And then like next day or like by that evening, it's like, we figured it out.
But
because to me, that part's easy to give back.
Okay.
In terms of opportunity, in terms of figuring things out strategically, like I can find a solution to deal with that problem much easier than fixing a door.
So I guess your relationship sounds like it's kind of built around you being the problem solver.
Yes,
That's what it sounds like.
Definitely.
Because when I'm
That's
reflecting,
literally what I do in a company. I
yeah,
solve problems.
but then it leaks into your personal life.
Yeah.
But like for me, my whole thing when I was growing up was I would show face for as long as I can handle.
Would we show face like
I will be present
Okay.
for as long as I can handle, which might be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours max. And then I need to go. Like I need to leave. I need to go home. I need to be on my own. And that's become who I am now. Like even like to this day, like you'll see me for 2-3 hours and I've got the energy. But after that, you're like, what's happening? Do you know what I mean? Like my whole energy's gone down. I'm like mellow-toned. I'm monotoned as it is. So it's like I'm so thing. But it's like then I realized like with my relationships, it's exactly the same. Like I can't keep relationships strong enough where I'm like, I can see you every day and enjoy it.
Do you think though you understand what you mean to people?
No, because I don't think in my head, I don't think I'm not that valuable. Do you know what I mean? And I don't, and that's not even me just trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm not valuable, but I just feel like what is it that I'm offering? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not sure. And I guess, and since I started therapy, like we're diving in like straight to the early days. So like I'm starting to understand certain things. But one thing that it came up was when I was younger, because I got abandoned so many times, like not just from my parents or my dad or anything like that. It's the fact that like I'd move schools, stay there for a few months and have to move again. So I make friends and then I'm out. Then I go to new school and I make friends and I'm out again. And it's like, it gets to a point where like, I felt so abandoned for so long that even getting fired from work, you know, like making me feel abandoned to the point where like now as an adult, because I'm scared that I'm going to lose a friend or a friendship, etc. My brain's already telling me stay far from the start. Do you know what I mean? Because think about it, like my parents divorced, you know, from a certain age until now, like I've lost like 13 friends. Then I've had people go in and out of jail. Then I've also had me moving around so many times. Then I've also had like my uncle passing away. Then I've had like me moving countries now and I'm far away from my family.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like, but I never deal with it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, okay, it's happened. Let me just stay on my own in my room. You know what I mean? And it's become this safe zone. And I've never made a new safe zone, even to this day. Like I made it such a safe zone. So like I always get worried, like if I'm going to make friendships, I don't know how, like, I don't know if it's going to last, and I self-sabotage.
But I don't think you're wrong in feeling that way, bro, because especially adults are complex, meaning like there can a lot of times be relationships with people that, you know, people see you for what you might be able to just give to them because everyone's busy, has stuff to do, you know, and then people try to actually minimize the relationships down to like what's going to be most advantageous to them instead of like where is there the most fruitful, you know, just chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as we get older, we do less of that. We do less of looking at, okay, where's there just good chemistry and good vibes? You know, and I think you're an excellent person for someone to be a friend with, you know, but like you have to also rely on someone else's way of framing those things as well, you know. So I think you're right to think that, and especially like you're saying, growing up, so you know, some of those friends that you've had, you know, so many things like going on along that way is gonna make you feel that way. So I definitely think there's something there to be like sussed out, but I think knowing what you might mean to people might help you be more present in those environments, because, you know, and people need to make sure they tell you that too. You need to feel that, because to feel that type of love, or like that people want you there, or your presence, you know, that need for like people to have you around, you know, it's such a lovely feeling to feel.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like sometimes also you've got to figure that out yourself by testing different things with different people to be like, okay, you know what, like if I'm this type of guy, and it doesn't mean your unnatural self, like, you know, don't have to be like a Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
You just gotta be who you are. Sometimes that mellowness, bro, is an asset. That calm is an asset. You know, and so sometimes you being just chilling, if you find the right people, bro, you can just chill with them like that. And I've got a friend, you met Kevo? Yeah, you might met Kevo.
I think I met him.
All right, you might, bro, he's just like barely will talk, bro. But like, the guy's just full of love. You know what I mean? And like, bro, like he's there, like no matter what it is, bro, always wants to help, always wants to be around, bro. Like this guy has no commercial interest for me. Like it's not like there's anything going on, bro. But at the end of the day, bro, he's my boy just because he's just dope and cool and like loyal, you know. And no matter where I go in life, bro, I want everything for him, you know. And he just loves me and I love him and we're just boys. And like, bro, but we'll be sitting around, bro, and like we won't. It's not like he was sitting with me and say, bro, like what movie watching tonight? Yeah, let's like grab some food and grab some drink. Nah, bro, but it's just him just being there, bro. It's just like, bro, I like your energy and your chill.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So sometimes, bro, like you can have such a positive impact on people's lives just being the way you are.
But you know what? Yeah, moving to Dubai triggered that same anxiety that I had when I was moving schools. Because I came here, I didn't know a single person. I didn't even have what I have now when I first moved here. I was just figuring it out. My main thing was just get here and then figure it out. But when I came here, I didn't know anyone. I was like, how do I meet people now? Like, how do I make friends? Like, it felt like I was back in school for a minute. Like, do you know what I mean? I was just like, what do I do?
What did you do?
Bro, I remember I landed here and I had my old podcast back in the days. So when I landed here, I was like, I'm going to use this podcast to meet people. So I messaged, there's this massive, there's like this big Instagram page called That Dubai Girl. And I was like to her, like, hey, and she talks all about like Dubai, stuff happening in Dubai and stuff like that. So it's a good place to kind of find out events and what's going on. Message like, hey, I have a podcast. I'd love to have you on. When I landed, she said, hey, I have my 1 year anniversary of this brand. Why don't you come through? Bro, it was on a boat. I was walking towards it and I was like, no, I can't do this. I'm not going on. And I contemplated for ages. And then I said to myself, I'm going to go on there for like 10, 15 minutes. And if I don't like it or if I can't mingle, I'm out. It's the first time I've been on a boat. I didn't realize the boat actually leaves the dock because in the UK, they don't leave the dock.
Yeah.
So when I got on there, bro, the boat moved and I was stuck there for 3 hours.
Though.
Yeah.
How did you feel at the end?
Bro, my closest friends that I made out here, I met on that boat.
No way.
Yeah, so the 3-4 friends that I made that day are the people that I will hang around with like till this day.
Wow.
So I met them on the boat.
How beautiful is that?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it was definitely a blessing.
I mean? Yeah.
But that anxiety like made me feel I was back in school.
Bro, but I know so many stories of yours that have been like that. Even how we met, bro, has been like that. You know, just like these, just random, like putting yourself out, like throwing yourself into that, bro. And so many people don't have those abilities. You know, maybe even, by the way, like those things that you're perceiving as being maybe negative are actually huge strengths of yours. You know, like that. I know anxiety can actually be a negative thing. I'm not saying like to be anxious is good, but to be maybe a little bit defensive, to be cautious, but also to have the to be brave enough to like be like, you know what? I'm gonna try it even for 10, 15 minutes. That's a great mindset, bro. Like giving yourself like, I'm not the most confident. However, 15 minutes, bro, I'm gonna see how I go. And now look, bro, you made friends for a lifetime. So
bro, it was such a like talking, like saying out loud now, making me realize like, damn, that is crazy.
But that's you getting to know yourself, by the way, bro. Like you got to get to know yourself and you got to literally reflect on that moment or that time and then position that characteristic into your own life in terms of like, okay, like you can repeat that now. You can improve on that. Now, next time, I'm going to do half an hour when there's some uncomfortable situation. I'm going to give myself 30. I'm going to give myself an hour. I'm just going to be there. Next time, you know what I'm going to do? If there's something you didn't do there, let's say you didn't approach people there, but you wait for people to approach you. And next time, I'm going to approach one person, bro. You know what I mean? Like something to make yourself try and develop in that area on top of that and see how you feel about it, man.
Bro, there's this new thing like I'm trying out.
Yeah.
And it's like every negative has a positive.
Okay.
So it's like anytime I feel negative, I'm like trying to force myself to find the positive.
Okay.
So like, for example, let's say that boat situation, the negative, I'm not going on, I'm getting anxiety. So then I'm talking to myself in a positive way. I'm like, okay, but if I just go on for 10 minutes and I don't like it, I tried. And I'm trying this thing and it's, I didn't try it then, but that just naturally happened. But like I'm trying it recently and bro, it's a game changer.
It's like a risk reward type mentality.
Yeah, like before I'm just like, no. Like I'm stuck in my ways. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. No one can tell me enough. I'm not doing this. Now it's like, hold on. Every negative has a positive. What's the positive in this situation? And I'm starting to learn how to like, in terms of business as well, which is interesting because it's like the negative I feel, let's say for example, the Middle East market is totally different to the UK and Europe, or the West in general. So sometimes you get lowballed. And I say to myself, I was like, the best situation out of this is I get the price that I want, or I don't take the job. Because one client's going to say, yeah, that's going to make up for me saying no to this one. Before, I'll be like, oh yeah, I need to get whatever I can get in, high or low, whatever, and overwhelm myself so much that the quality of work wouldn't be the best. And now, like, I've started to switch it around. I'm just like, quality first, which means I need to pick and choose who I can. And alhamdulillah, now I'm in a good position where I can pick and choose. But it's like every negative has a positive.
100%, bro.
And trying to find that isn't even that hard.
That's a beautiful way of thinking of it.
Yeah, like, I mean, just life as well.
We really can only predict as far as our current set of information can take us, right? Like, your ability to predict is based off data. Like, if you think at ChatGPT, for example, ChatGPT can give you information because it's got a ton of data in there to give you the right answers, right? And so if you think about yourself as like a data set, bro, your data set is limited to your upbringing, the places you've been, the relationships you've had, the things you've seen, the things you've done. That's all you know. And so your decision making is only based off that. And that's factual. That's all you have. You don't have nothing else. You know, literally. So it's not like you're the most resourced person. None of us are. And so our job is to increase that data set. And you do that through these experiences. And so if you don't do those things like getting on the boat or those business deals, bro, you're just limiting your data set where it's at. And that's basically the comfort zone that people don't get out of. Because, I have what I have today. But what you have today at some point, some of that was also uncomfortable for you. That's become your new normal, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, and so you got to always push that boundary.
What about in a situation of, so like you're obviously, I guess let's just talk about the UK. I'm not sure what it's like around the world, but let's just say the UK. I would consider you kind of high profile in the UK. And so is your missus. So when you're getting, and stop me if I'm being a bit too personal here.
No, it's true. I'm definitely not high profile, but I'll let you go with the question.
As in like high profile.
If you're going to offer me a Lamborghini, I'll take it.
High profile in the sense of like within the Muslim community for sure.
Yeah.
Right? You, Faisal,
right,
and then your missus as well.
Yeah.
But also like I feel like you're getting there slowly with business and tech and things like that. But my question is that you being who you are on social media, your missus being who she is on social media, receiving hate, how do you guys deal with that individually and together? Because I can assume individually one of yous are going to be dealing with it better than the other. So then what is that conversation like after you dealt with your hate, for example? If your missus dealing with hate, like what is the conversation like? Like, what do you say to her?
It used to be a lot different to what it is now, man. Like, I'd say like maybe around 2016, 2017 is when things started popping off a bit, when even all this was new to us. And everything would feel louder, you know, and you feel highly sensitive to things. Like if somebody had a negative comment about something, bro, it would be like the worst thing. I'd be like, why is bro? Like, I'd read my comments, like people would say stuff like about my wife, or like, you know, people would say something to me about something, or like whatever it was, just some silly stuff, like whatever people say. And it would affect you, bro. I'd be like, hold on a second. And I'd like be thinking about it, and I'd be like, nah, I need to write a post about this, and I need to like say something like little like left on my story to let people know. That's one person saying something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there would be moments, bro, like we'd be like on a drive, bro, and I would just be talking like, do you think this person's right in saying this? Like, am I really, like, did I come across? And it'd be like that. And then over time, bro, now, honestly, like we just don't think like that, bro, at all. Like not one bit. And I'll tell you why. Look, we've had the absolute like blessing, like alhamdulillah, bro, to be able to do something that, you know, it really is a gift, you know, which is to raise a family, you know, to be able to be in a loving marriage, where we truly love each other on a very deep level, you know, like she's everything to me, you know.
Congratulations, by the way, on renewing your vows.
Oh, thanks, bro. We actually had to do that for a legacy perspective, to be honest. It wasn't even like we just turned it into more of an event than it had to be.
It looked good though. It looked good.
Yeah, it looked good. Yeah. For the kids, we made it more of a thing, but we never did our legal marriage back when we got in the car.
Yeah.
We just did in the car. So we did a legal marriage, and part of that's because of coming to the Middle East. We needed that whole process, so it was partly to do with that. Anyway, but again, by the way, that was even more fun because, you know, 7 years later, you know, I love her more than I've ever loved her. And so I think at one level, like we have that relationship, that's me and her. And then we have our children, our family, that we're completely unified on what we're trying to do here, how we're trying to raise our kids, the type of parenting we have. And so that's like all of our life, bro. And so social media is such a tiny part of our life in terms of what people see.
Yeah.
You know, because we don't show everything, you know. So obviously of what you show, people are going to connect the dots and make things this or like this comes up way. So now when you see comments and people say things, you really know the truth of your life.
Yeah.
And so when I see something, I'm like, bro, like I know what that, like, and people make so much stuff up. There's gossip blogs, bro, that's got like 100, I don't know if I want to say like 100 pages, bro, of just gossip about us, like constant, bro, by the way, like every day, I bet you right now something about Dubai. I don't even check this stuff. I just know it exists. You know what I mean? And like, there's a couple of times someone sent me something on DM, whatever, and I'm like, and I just say, is this true? And I'm like, bro, where have you connected these dots? And so like, you have this mindset now, which is like, bro, like genuinely, if it's people that like, I know personally, who know me personally, who have context, I can give it piece like a part of my mind, and we can like break it down. But on a general level, bro,
because like you guys, because like I mean, I remember when I used to, like I'm not even anyone big, but if I had one comment on my old podcast, bro, that episode got deleted. Like it affected me so much because I was just like, because I'm constantly wanting to at that time make sure that I please everyone.
I think we all do, by the way. I think we all like that.
But that's what I'm saying. So like, where are you guys now? Because now you have a wife, you have kids, you have business. Like you have to be able to control what you show. So like every time you're showing that 10% of your whole entire life, are you very conscious about how it would, like, are you calculating how would this look? Or is it just thoughtless now? Like you just know like people are just going to chat shit and you just have to accept it because not everything's negative.
I think I've been able to design my life a little bit more now, consciously, with the understanding of, you know, what role social media plays. So I'm not as like active is a crazy word, but as active. I'm a little bit more recently because I've got more into the flow of things. But like over the last year and a half, bro, I was a lot more quiet because I was trying to figure out a lot of things internally, a lot of things business-wise, personally. That like, I was like, yo, I just got to suss this out. I'm not trying to play no game. I always want my social media to be authentic. So even if I post sometimes something with my kids, or like I just did about Dubai, bro, what I shared is the truth. And I always want it to be that way. I don't really do any like promos. I don't do advertising because I don't see myself as an influencer. I'm a guy who's trying to share an authentic journey. And I always remember why I started that on Snapchat back in like 2015 or whatever, was honestly, bro, because, the motivation goes further back to when Faisal and I were young. Whenever we were trying to do something, bro, we were like, who do we look up to? There was no one Muslim, Asian, London, like, you know, look like us, talk like us. We even had a vision, you know, like you literally, bro. And even to this day, bro, you have the most successful people you name are like your Elon Musks and Mark Zuckerbergs, and now you got Sam Altman and these type of people. And it's like, yeah, but bro, when's there gonna be like a Iqbal, you know what I mean? Or like a Mustafa, or like a Omar, or Faisal, or Cairo, bro. Like still to this day, bro, I don't think that happens enough. And like, forgive me if there are people doing it. I'm sure there's like plenty of people doing great things. I don't want to like, you know, undermine that. But I'm saying on a global level, I'm talking levels, you know, and that ambition and that type of goal setting, I think is something you have to truly have a desire for, and not for the sake of fame, for the sake that you want to do impactful things that are going to change the world. We truly want to do that, and my journey is about that. And I've always shared that, and I also know where again comes to a point of like why I'm like how I am with my friends in terms of like being hospitable or doing things in advance, is because I can see things on their lens of how they might be feeling. And I think that same way about our audience on social media, which is I've been that guy who would have loved to follow me. Not in a you know, self-indulgent way, but someone who would share their authentic story. Because if I'm in Dubai saying, oh, I've set up offices in Middle East, I'm not trying to jump 10 steps and make it look like, oh, I've made it. Bro, no, I'm also letting you know, yo, like early this year, bro, there was a time when we didn't even have anywhere to stay. You know what I mean? Like that's real. I had 3 kids and I've like bunkered in my brother-in-law's house. You know what I mean? Like that had to be done for like a little bit of time because we were in this like tough zone for a minute and we had to figure things out. But that's life. You know, and that's part of my resilience and my strength. But then that's also why when I'm opening up in Middle East or I'm doing something, bro, I'm able to talk about it because I know that that's like a skill set that I'll be able to acquire. And I also want to share that, hey, you're going through a tough spot right now. Yo, like keep your mindset a type of way, operate a type of way, have confidence in yourself, you can get there. And the reason I share this is because I have ambitions to do things on a global level. Want to stand with some of those titans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to build things at that level. That's my desire. And inshallah, we're able to do that. But I'm going to keep going until we get there. And when we do, I want people to be able to follow this journey authentically and say, oh, like, I remember when they just, did this out in Dubai. Or like, I remember when people message me now saying, I remember when like you just started Feed Source. Brother, makes me so happy. Because you remember when we just was an idea. And that's the authentic part. There's not, but I've never put one flashy thing on my Instagram ever. Like, no one knows what car I drive, because to me, that's not important. I'm not trying to be that guy.
Yeah.
It's not about money or nothing like that. It's about, because also, bro, I know internally how hard it is to make money. You know what I mean? So, bro, anyone saying they're making like 100 bag a month or like 50 bag, I'm like, bro, all right, show me. Like, help me understand how you're doing it. Because if you truly know how to do that, bro, you've got a skill set that you should be sharing.
Yeah.
Or you've got like insights and journey that you should be sharing if it's truly authentic. If it's just flash, show, bro, like, what's that going to do for anyone? Because it's putting out false narratives. Like life is truly a struggle, and every dime that we make, bro, we've worked hard for. I will continue to do that. And so we're going to try and share much of our journey authentically. So it also gives hope to other people. Because I'm a council estate, grown up, like government funded type of guy, bro. Like single parent household. Like we're not grown up on these luxuries, bro.
It's crazy. Like even I'm trying to learn to that document the journey more. And I'm not that good at it at the moment. I'm trying like my best, but it's like, there's just so many stories within the unseen that we can never tell verbally.
Yes.
Sometimes you just have to document it, and then the story will tell itself once you have enough of the storyline.
That's what I struggled with, by the way, because I used to do the Ozone vlogs and those type of things. And by the way, that was that journey of me stopping that was actually that part of me getting to know myself, which is my character works better when I'm not like that, because I want to focus more on my relationships behind closed doors than the ones on show. Because there's been moments, bro, when I've done something for someone that I love, bro, but I post it on social media. And it completely takes away, at least from perceived value. I might have done it genuinely out of love, but like by putting it out there, it's taken away for that person what it meant for me personally.
Yeah.
And now I much prefer the fact that there's loads of examples of things that I have personally with people in terms of my, relationships with them and what I can do and how I can help them or they can help me. And it's just between us. And I like that because those so authentic and I sleep better at night rather than be like, yo, I did this or put this person on and they did this. Like, bro, like I want everything to be organic. So now, by the way, when you ask me a question, like, how do you still work with your boys? Bro, that's like countless examples of like behind the closed doors situations that brought us closer. But had I put all those things out online, we probably wouldn't be working together today.
Yeah, it would have been
because it takes away from it. The respect happens because it's genuine and it's sincere and it's not something that everyone sees. It's literally between you two. And we grow up, we're in a world right now, bro, where that's not good enough for people. Like something between me and you, like in private, should be good enough because it's between us.
Yeah.
The same way with, by the way, like you're asking about my wife and I and our the profiles and stuff, bro. There's like I said, so much of our life is just between us, and that's good enough. It's literally what happens between us, our children, and the fact that it's between us. We're so much happy in our lives because that's what matters. It doesn't matter if anyone knows or not.
That's and I guess that's what it is. I think it's because we show so much to the world, like everyone feels they're entitled to speak on what we show because we are putting it out there.
And if you are putting too much out there, bro, and people start saying things, that's when you start feeling defensive because you're putting so much out there that you're giving people the right to comment on what's actually maybe the truth or like really like what you're showing them. Like that's why I think people who vlog like all their life and like show so much, bro, it is challenging, bro, very challenging. And it only goes, I think it's a race to the bottom.
Bro, towards the end of the show, I play this game called Child's Play, but I switched it up for you.
Okay.
And I think I might do this moving forward. It's called a verbal journal.
Okay.
So it's like I'm gonna ask you some questions, and you're gonna answer it as if you're like writing in a journal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first one: are you okay with the fact that not everyone will like you, and how does that make you feel?
That's a great question, man. Am I okay with the fact that not everybody will like me, and how does that make me feel? So, let me think about that because I had a situation recently that made me think about this. I think what matters more is that I uphold myself in all interactions with people in a way that I'm I'm true to my principles, and that I feel that I was truly representative of who I am. And but I can't control how someone might perceive that. I can only do the best to make sure that I come across in the best way I can. I'm obviously not perfect, so there might be times where maybe my delivery or what are things that are out of my control might affect the way someone sees something. But I would like to hope there's no one that dislikes me. I don't really have enemies like that. But obviously, look, if there's someone that if I know that someone might feel the type of way and something might be misconstrued, that comes back to the thing I spoke about earlier with my friends as well, which is straight away, bro, I'll try and have a conversation and try and nip that in the bud. If it's genuinely something that I can't control because I've done my best, then I'm cool with it. So
okay,
yeah.
Nice. What about when you think about your future self? What are you most afraid of?
These are dope questions, bro.
I tried.
No, very good questions, bro. When I think about my future self, what I'm most afraid of. I think more than a fear, it's I'm trying to figure out if it's a fear or not. But I have this thing with my kids that when people speak about their dad, they never really speak about their dad in a way of he did this,
Yes.
he ran this company, or he made this amount of money. None of that matters. And I think a lot recently, as my kids are getting more older and they're aware, they don't, my daughter just asked me today, Daddy, what do you do for work? And I said, I have a company called Feed Source. And she goes, oh, you take photos? She doesn't really understand. And part of me actually made me happy because I'm I don't want to be remembered or feel like I'm doing things because I have this succession plan or my kids have taken on this legacy. Bro, it's not about that, man. I want to mean something to them as a father. And it could be a fear, whatever, is that I put so much focus on who I am associated to a physical thing I've achieved that I don't want that to be just a representation of who I am. I want to find a way of my characteristics to be, and how I made my children feel, to be the reason they speak highly of me. I really want that after I'm gone, my legacy to be that my children are proud of who their dad was. And my fear is not achieving that. So I'm trying to work as much as I can towards that.
What have you ever? I don't know if you come across this, but I've noticed this a lot. Is everyone always distant from their dad's side of the family. Do you think about that with your kids?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, so funny. Yeah, everyone is a bit. But by the way, yeah, you're right. However, I think there's things that are generational that we aren't able to understand yet. Because if you think about it, bro, we only have that context because of this previous generation, which was our parents, whose family had come from abroad, type of thing. So because a lot of my dad's family is in Pakistan. So I don't know if that's because generally geographically they're in a different location. But so far, I mean,
but it's quite common because I ask people, and everyone's got issues with their dad's side of the family. But it's like a thing.
Maybe,
there's even memes about it.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that.
But do you think about that? Am I going to be the dad's side of the family to my kids, kind of thing?
No, I don't actually think about it. I think I know naturally my wife's side has their involvement is a little bit different because of the mother's role as well. I think the mother requires a level of support that her family can give her, that naturally has them present in certain environments more than maybe my family would be.
Okay.
And so I also respect that, and I actually love the way they are in terms of that, but also my family are present in so many ways, on a regular basis that brings them all closer. And so I don't know if that's the thing that I'm necessarily concerned about, because everyone has a unique outfits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so far so good.
Hope
it stays that way.
Yeah, inshallah. I think about that a lot. Next one, if you could travel back in time, would you do anything differently?
Yeah, man, I'm sure we all would, bro. Yeah, plenty of things, man. But that's a good question, though, because it's would I do things differently with the information I have now? 100%. But that's what I think we do going forward is we rectify on that information and correct those things in future endeavors and scenarios. But going back with the information I had at the time, would I have done things different?
Because don't you think everything that you went through is the reason why you're here today? And if you change
That's what
one
I'm
thing,
saying.
like that, you might, if you change something, let's say, for example, the knowledge you have now, you go change that back in the days, it might not have taken you down the path of understanding different other things that got you here.
That's that part of that's why I like looking back and reflecting as a means of informing the future rather than being like a form of dwelling. There's a really good saying around that, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. But I think Matthew McConaughey said this once, which is you always need something to look back on. You need something to look forward to, and you need something to look up to. So like God, kind of look up to, something to look back on, which is your past, and then something to look forward to, which is kind of informed by your past. And I think like that's such an important way of like kind of navigating yourself, and it centers you. It's like I'm here in like kind of the middle bit. I've got my past, I got my future, I got my what I look at above as like a guidance as well. And you definitely don't want to be looking down on anything or anyone. So I think that sorts itself out. But yeah, I don't think it's anything. Yeah, I think it's just more of a form of reflection. But I don't spend any time thinking about I would have done this or that, whatever.
The last one, I feel good about myself when.
I feel good about myself when I'm able to provide something for someone that truly means something to them, that genuinely like means something to them. And if I can identify what that is and like do that, and it's like incredibly valuable to them, that gives me, it makes me feel very joyous. And if I can do that privately on top of that, it makes me feel even better because I've overcome my ego and my desire to feel recognized, which I think we all have. And so when there's moments that happens, like, and I can just pause that there and be like, look, that just sits where it sits, and I'm happy with that. That makes me feel good.
Okay, nice. But that's verbal journal. I kind of like that, to be honest.
That was nice, bro. You should definitely
I think I might keep that one on. To finish off the show, I do this thing called childhood room for reflection. Childhood room reflection. So all I need to do is like to relax a little bit and close your eyes.
Okay.
Imagine, imagine your bedroom door as a child. Yeah, visualize one, the first one that comes to your mind.
Yep.
Go inside that door and you see your child self just sitting there. Could be on the bed, could be on the floor. He's just sitting there. What would you say to that child you're seeing right now?
And you know what's mad? When I see that, I see my son, because he has so many of the characteristics of me when I was young. And so probably much of what I would tell my younger self, I tell him that in the way I raise him. It's funny because even the age is interesting, because I look a very specific way, probably about age of like, I want to say like 8 years old, 9 years old.
Are you seeing the 8 year?
Yeah, just sitting there like legs crossed, looking up, like, because I was always very like, I've been a good boy, you know what I mean? I've never been like mischievous or nothing, bro. I've just been like, minding my business and getting on with things. I would say to my younger self just to stay curious, to embrace that, yeah. And I try and encourage that in my son as well, man. Like that idea of like, if something like tickles your brain, like, follow that, know? And I think like that as I've always tried to keep with me now, man. I actually think that's what drives me a lot is that curiosity, Okay. So yeah,
that's a good one. I really like that. I really like that. Well, look, man, I appreciate you coming on. Honestly, bro, thank you for being a guest. We're at the end of the show. Where can they find you, man?
You can find me at Omar Choudhry, OmarChoudhry on Instagram. Twitter is the same. That's it, man. I'm just tweet every now and then, like when I feel like it. I post every now and again when I feel like it. So like, yeah. But just show love, man. Anything, But I also just want to be able to, share the journey. So if you're kind of, on your own path of trying to discover who you are and figure out, your own vision and trying to bring things to life, then definitely, man, like, come on that journey as well. Because the more people that have like that, who also feed into me and send me messages, that's what motivates me to share actually more of what's going on. So I see it as more of like a loving way of like giving back, and along the way as well. So yeah, man, Instagram, on my feed source as well, FeedSauce. Check us out, Instagram, feedsource.com. Show some love. But
I'll link everything in the bio.
Of course, bro. But thank you, Kyra, man. This has been wonderful, bro. Like, honestly, bro, I've really, really, really enjoyed this.
No, I appreciate it.
It's a great concept and a lovely way of doing it.
Yeah, I want it to be different. I think every time, I'm sure you've had some people ask you, how did you start this? How did you start Feed Source and da. So I guess this is a bit more personable.
But that childhood element kind of centers the concept. I think it's a really good concept to have because it centers everything around like the true self of who someone is. And also, by the way, we lose inside, we're all still children. We lose a lot of that childlike state as we get older. And it's really nice to be able to pause and remember who you are because we just grow up quick.
And bro, once you leave this building, bro, you're going to start thinking about so much. Everyone has messaged me and said like, I've been thinking about it like since they left. So you're gonna have so many questions for yourself.
That last question, I think, is like, yeah, definitely in my mind. If I kept my eyes closed for 10 seconds longer, I would have cried.
Which son did you see? Which son did you see?
Caden. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, he's just
let you keep it close for longer.
He's like a duplicate. Like literally the way his emotions work, I feel like I feel the emotions at the exact moment he feels them. It's so strange, bro.
Really?
But just because like, and also the type of conversations we have, like almost telepathic.
Wow.
So even when he's going through I think that there's moments as a kid that he's wild, but like there's so many things, bro, that like would happen. I'm like, I just know right now that even if like, you might want to tell him off, I completely understand what he's feeling because I probably felt that too.
Yeah.
And then I have it like he was acting up today earlier on in the mall, like being crazy. And then, all right, we dealt with that, whatever. I was like angry, but I didn't like, just kept calm. Even when I'm angry, bro, I stay calm. Yes, I'm like calm. But then later on, bro, he needs to go to the loo. Like we went to a restaurant, took him to the toilet, bro. He washed his hand and everything. Before he came out the door, bro, I kept the door shut. I got down to him, bro, and I had a direct conversation with him. I let him know. I said, how do you think that made Dad feel? How he did? He goes, sad. I said, okay, what else? He's like, angry. I said, okay. I don't want you to ever behave like that again. Yeah, I said, what you did today is not acceptable. I'm never going to be okay with that, so you don't do that. I said, I need to say sorry for how you behaved. And he said sorry, and then I ask him as well what he's sorry for, so he knows.
Okay.
And I also, like, he would, upset maybe his grandma as well. I said, you have to apologize to her. But I need to know that. And after that, bro, by the way, like, you see, feels lighter too. Because he as well, bro, is like, okay, Dad's been angry. He's like, trying to move a type of way because he's like trying to suss out like how I'm feeling. But I'm not trying to keep that guard up of being like, oh, I'm your pops, you got to feel angry and so you got to feel scared of me. Nah, bro, like you knew I was mad, but now let's like clear the air, let's hug it out. But I need you to know that I don't want you to do that again. But like that's how I talk to my boys. Let's say, you know what I mean? Like it's literally like that. It's like it's love. It's like let's keep it moving. And then from that, he's happier. But I want him to experience that stuff of like I don't want my children to experience things of like arguments or frustrations or anger can linger into this feeling of like long-term, just like, rust in your body. It's like, let it go, be free, we're chill, we're family. So
otherwise in like 10, 15 years, he'll be sitting in that chair telling me about his traumas.
Right? Yeah, my dad did it. Yeah. Nah, I probably a lot of my childhood informs like the way I try to communicate with the kids, man. So yeah.
Well, look, man, I really thank you so much for being here, and hopefully we'll have part 2 sometime in the future when you're back in the Middle East.
Anytime, man. I'm glad we did this, bro. Thank you, man.
Well, thank you.
Thank you guys, man. Lovely, bro. That's sick.
How was that,
bro? Loved it, bro. Yeah, super dope. It's very sick content as well, man. Honestly,
appreciate it.
I'm glad.